David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another pen review. And today I have something new for you. Not only is it a fairly new pen, but it's the flagship rollerball release of a new offshoot brand from an American company based in Arizona, and that would be the Keras Pen Company. And their new sub-brand is called Everyday Keras. The pen is called the Basik, and that's spelled B-A-S-I-K. Technically, the pen is called the Basik 001. And while I typically talk price near the end of the review, I wanted to mention up top that this pen retails for an affordable $29. In regard to this new sub-brand, Keras has come a long way since their first Kickstarter project about 13 years ago. Since that time, the company has grown and developed many new models and grew their machine shop substantially, and the retail price of some of their pens grew over that time as well. The goal of this new armed, as I mentioned, called Everyday Keras, was to return to some of the foundational principles of the company while relying on the advancements and knowledge they have gained over the years. Focusing on writing instruments designed and manufactured for everyday carry use. And kind of taking a step back from the complexity of form to focus on more on function and affordability. So, in order to see if they have succeeded in their goals with this initial offering, please join me over here at camera 2. So here we have the Everyday Keras Basik, Basik 001 to be more specific. As you can see, it has a rather unique design to it. It is manufactured in the Keras Pen Company facilities in Mesa, Arizona, and it is created from a single piece of aircraft-grade 6061T aluminum. It is a retractable bolt-style pen and has some unique design elements to it. Let's go ahead and take a look at all the parts and features here of this pen. First of all, there is a machined Durham piston. So this part here is Durham, and then the piston part that is inside there is Durham as well. It is a little bit indented on the end, which I think looks nice, rather than just having it just being straight flat. The clip is made from heavy-duty stainless steel, as well as the fasteners here. And you can see that it's angled down. It is a bit on the stiff side, but it still functions well in smaller and thinner materials. In regard to this is what's called a checkmark J slot, which looks like a J or a checkmark. And that what happens is, in order to extend the tip, then you go ahead and slide it down and it stays in place. And then you just simply give it a little push and it retracts. It's fairly easy to work with one hand. And I will say that whenever I have pens along these lines with these mechanisms, I tend to play around with them like a fidget toy. And so whether I'm using the pen or not, I'm usually like playing around with it like that, just because it's a little satisfying to play around with it. The body does have a bit of texture to it. When I say texture, it is this groove that is down the pen. Over here on the end, it is concave just a little bit. And then we have the section here. This is a unique ring grip section with a chamfered design. A chamfer is a flat angle or edge that's been beveled, and the result is like a sloping edge rather than a sharp one. And then, as I mentioned before, we have the end, and when you go ahead and activate that, the rollerball comes out. This pen utilizes a Pilot G2 rollerball refill, which is one of my favorite, and so it writes very nicely. And we'll show in the writing sample in just a minute as well. And one of the most attractive things about this pen, as I mentioned it up top, it retails for $29. And that includes free shipping to the continental US. So it's not like one of those things you paid $29 for the pen and then you have to pay another $15 for shipping. If you're in the continental US, basically it's $29 out the door. And so what I feel is that's a fantastic price for something like this. So let's go ahead and take a look at some measurements and some size comparisons, and then a quick writing sample. Okay, in regard to some size comparisons, in regard to some other Keras pens, we have the ink right here, which this one is made from copper, and this is like probably the heaviest pen in my collection. This thing is just massively heavy, but it is one that I enjoy very much. And then we had a pen here that was called the Reactor, and that was nice. It had a nice colored section there, but that is the Reactor. And then finally, we have something with resin, and this one is called the Vertex. And it has a nice clear section, and you can see the Keras nib. So these are both fountain pens, but that's what the Reactor looks like for Keras Customs. In regard to some rollerball pens that are not Keras, we have, this is what it looks like in comparison with the Tactile Turn. This was their latest seasonal release, the Groove. Here it is with a Retro 51 Tornado. And then finally, here it is with a Mont Blanc rollerball. I believe this is a 144. I could be mistaken, but this is a rather thin Mont Blanc. This is actually a ballpoint, not a rollerball, but this is what it looks like in comparison. You know what? I'll tell a quick story in regard to this Mont Blanc. This was like my very first fancy pen that I owned. And that I worked at a company, boy, this is probably almost going on 30 years ago, maybe 35 years ago. And that I had mentioned when I was training a class that I really wanted to get a Mont Blanc pen. And I had one of my coworkers say, hey, I found one in my driveway. Would you like it? And I said, sure. And so they gave me this pen, and you could tell it's a little bit beat up, and the resin on it was actually cracked. But you know, hey, it functioned well, and so I really enjoyed having this pen. But I was kind of bemoaning to the owner of our company about how the material was cracked, and they said, you know what, hey, you can send that back to Mont Blanc, and they will repair it for you. But then I kind of said, well, you know what, I don't want to be without it. And so they went into their office, and they gave me this pen here. And they said, hey, you could use this one while you send this one off to be fixed. And so I did. And then I got a letter from Mont Blanc saying that in order to fix this, it was like $90. And at the time, these cost about $90. And there was no way I was going to pay $90 for a pen at that point in my life. And so I kind of went back to the owner and gave them back this pen and said, hey, sorry, but it's too much, so I'm not going to get it fixed. And they just told me to go ahead and keep this one. So then I had two. And then later on, I used to work at a bookstore, and I found this third one. Someone just left it in the store and then never came back to claim it. So I now have three of these, and I've yet to pay for any of these three. Now, I mentioned that the resin used to be cracked on this. I have since actually sent this back to Mont Blanc to be repaired, and they have replaced the resin on this, and so it's no longer cracked. But this is what it looks like in regard to the Keras, but I always thought that was an interesting story, and maybe that was a precursor to me being interested in pens, because even though a long time ago, I just really enjoyed using this Mont Blanc rollerball, and enjoyed using that, and enjoy using fountain pens, as is evident by all of these videos. In regard to a quick writing sample, we have the Everyday Keras Basik, that's B-A-S-I-K, and it's the Basik 001. Maybe assuming that some of their other models are going to be numbered as well. Maybe the next one will be 002. Who knows? We'll see. But in regard to a quick writing sample, this is, again, a Pilot's G2 rollerball. This happens to be a black ink. And with fast writing, there is no issue with this rollerball. So there you have the Everyday Keras Basic 001. Hey, I feel for the price of $29, it's hard to beat this pen. For the value of what you receive for the price is very, very high. I kind of like that it has a unique design. Give me something unique that I haven't seen before. And I hadn't seen a section with rings like this with 5 sets of rings. And I think it's very interesting. And that on top of that, the price makes it very attractive as well. And as I mentioned before, I'll put a link in the notes below where you can see it on the Everyday Keras website. Okay, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.